John Richard Keith Fuzz Townshend was born in July 1964 in England. The multi-faceted TV star is a motoring journalist, drummer, mechanic, former technical editor, and presenter of Car S.O.S, as well as a Triumph Sports 6 Club's honorary president. From 1996 to 2002, he also enjoyed a fruitful music career. Nicknamed Fuzz thanks to his unique afro, the musician's life changed forever at the age of 10, when his mother participated in a national newspaper competition and won a brand new Vauxhall Chevette. She chose to accept the prize in cash and bought a drum kit for her son. Fuzz would make his stage debut 2 years later, having studied with the local jazz musician Al Reed. Before the 1970s were over, Fuzz was already playing with college bands in local clubs. Upon completing his secondary school education, Fuzz began an apprenticeship with a local bus company, West Midlands Passenger Transport Executive. While working on buses at the company's Dudley branch, he released his first charting single and recorded 2 live sessions for BBC Radio 1. Soon, he would join forces with Ranking Roger and General Public. After being noticed by local indie pop band Pop Will Eat Itself, Fuzz seemingly left General Public and joined the group. A successful North American tour with 9 Inch Nails and charting entries in the UK singles and album charts would ensue. He also drummed for Bentley Rhythm Ace. A year after Hello Darlin', Fuzz's first solo release, which peaked at number 51 on the UK charts, he signed a deal with Echo Records. With funding from the label, the future TV star's first solo album, Far In, was born. It released in the UK in 1999 and the US 2 years later under Sabrina Silverberg's Stinky Records label. Fuzz's self-titled album appeared in 2002, then 2 years later, he put his solo career on standby and turned to lecturing in music technology and music practice. Around the same time, his old band PWEI reformed, and other groups Fuzz has drummed with include The Beat and The Wonder Stuff. After a few years as a college lecturer, Fuzz began working for Practical Classics and would climb the ranks to snag the lucrative position of technical editor. In 2011, his career underwent a radical change as he went freelance and started his classic car restoration business. 3 years later, he founded a garage network named Classic Friendly Limited, aimed towards classic cars. Some of the services he offered included safety inspections for classic cars, exempt from Ministry of Transport (MOT) tests, and standardized servicing regimes. Although online sources claim that Fuzz has plans of expanding his services for auction and online auction vehicles, Classic Friendly Limited confirmed in spring 2019 that the musician had left the business and had no further dealings or influence with its direction or trading. 3 years prior to the Facebook announcement, Fuzz left his first business, Westgate Classics, and founded a new garage named Toda Classics Limited, since 2018, known as S.O.S Workshop Limited. These days, Fuzz's work features regularly in Classic Car Weekly and Practical Classics. He lives in Shropshire and is an advocate for classic car safety campaigns, such as Classic Aware. As for his private life, he's been with his wife, Cressida, for almost a decade, and they have 2 children, Atticus, born in June 2019, and Pixie, sometime in 2020. Cressida has no public social media profiles. Fuzz also shares an elder daughter named Honor Doro Townshend with his first wife, about whom little is known, as a presenter has never been one to give personal interviews. Honor herself is thought to work as a freelance private chef with over 1,000 Instagram followers, whose services include bespoke menus, cooking lessons, and more. Instead of glossy vacation snaps and glamorous filtered selfies, Honor prefers to share her passion for cooking with her followers and has posted hundreds of plates over the years. Having made something of a name for himself in the automobile industry, Fuzz was invited by TV producers to a screen test audition for Car S.O.S, a National Geographic Channel series which also airs on More 4 and Channel 4 in the UK, and won Most Inspirational Show at the 2018 National Reality TV Awards. Car S.O.S premiered in 2013 and has 2 presenters, Tim Shaw and Fuzz. With help from a specialist car restoration team, the duo restores privately owned classic cars in Europe and the UK for owners who can't do it themselves for financial or medical reasons. Relatives or friends of the owners nominate them without their knowledge. Later, the presenters show them their finished car. The show's format changed for a special episode in Series 3, in which the team restored a 1962 Austin Healey Sebring Sprite with the owner's knowledge. The important vehicle, which had been driven by Sir Sterling Moss, Steve McQueen, and other famous racers, went to the British Motor Museum, formerly known as the Heritage Motor Centre after its restoration. Adding to the car's rarity is the fact that the only other Sebring Sprite in the world was destroyed in a race. Apart from that special episode, the format has never changed. Tim and Fuzz pick and review the featured vehicles, and while the former talks to the nominees' relatives, Fuzz inspects the car and calculates how much work is needed. Then the car is taken via trailer to Fuzz's workshop, where most of the filming takes place, and the restoration team arrives to do a thorough inspection. Once accepted for restoration, Tim has to find the necessary parts, often traveling the country. Occasionally, the presenters take a break from restoring the car to visit restored models of the same vehicle, test drive them, and chat with their owners. The restoration team continues the work while the presenters are thus occupied. When the restoration process is nearing its end, Tim and the nominees' families carefully stage a comedic fake event to return the car to its owner. Typically, Tim will disguise himself before presenting the owner with the restored vehicle. Fans have often wondered how long it actually takes to restore these beautiful classic vehicles. Tim and Fuzz must meet strict deadlines and restore 10 cars every 6 months, so an average of 18 days per car. It's been said that they will often spend over 100,000 man-hours on each vehicle, despite aiming to spend between 500 and 1,000. Each season usually takes 2 months to air, with the exception being Season 8, which aired between March 2020 and March 2021. As of March 2022, 10 seasons with 10 episodes each have aired. Some of the most impressive projects Tim and Fuzz have worked on include an Aston Martin DB6, a 1984 Audi Quattro, a Volvo P1800, and a 1966 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL Pagoda, to name a few. Fuzz's favorite project car is an AC Asica that featured in Season 4 and was manufactured shortly after World War II, while Tim's is a Porsche 356 that was seen in Season 8. Born in June 1974 in England, Tim Shaw is a humorous TV presenter, radio host, and engineer with a career spanning decades. Not much is known about his home life, but fans of his work are aware that the British Dyslexia Association certified the TV personality as a creative genius when he was aged just 12. A hard worker who thinks outside the box, Tim has designed rubberized ice cube trays, a folding walking aid, fast flashing brake lights, and a plethora of other inventions by the age of 16. Thanks to a scholarship, he was able to study product design and mechanical engineering at Oxford University, so it's perhaps unsurprising that he was named a Young Engineer of the Year in 1992 and 1994. Later on, he earned a professional broadcasting degree. At the age of 30, Tim landed his first broadcasting job at Kerrang! Radio. He and the rest of his team, Duncan North, Lucy Hellewell, and Greg Pebble, to name a few, worked from Sundays to Thursdays on a 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. schedule until their show, The Asylum, ended in September 2007. One of the most controversial moments in Tim's radio career came in 2005, when he and Greg pretended to burglar the home of Andrew Jeffries, who at the time was Kerrang! Radio's station director, live on air. The station promptly decided to suspend Tim after he smashed a window and sprayed rooms of his boss's luxury Sutton Coldfield property with inappropriate graffiti. Days before The Asylum was canceled, Kerrang! Radio gave Tim a new job in the breakfast slot. His 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. schedule from Monday to Friday was much more stable, whereas his co-host Kate Lawler was a far cry from the colorful colleagues he'd worked with for 3 years. But sadly, Tim couldn't stay out of trouble for long. Kerrang! Radio fired the host, who had also been investigated for pretending to rescue a suicidal listener. In April 2008, after a separate Ofcom investigation involving an on-air competition was launched. Instead of playing by the rules, Tim had intended on giving the prize, 2 tickets to see a Rolling Stones documentary, to his friend by pre-recording his entry and playing it on the show as if it were live. Months later, Tim had bounced back and was working for Absolute Radio. The new show, Absolution, had a similar format and schedule as The Asylum and premiered in October 2008. The change of station paid off for Tim, as in 2009 he won the Sony Award for Best Entertainment Show alongside his colleagues Eloise Carr and Rocky Sagare Vieto. Other shows Tim has presented include Networked and Tim Sean's Rehab, and he's worked for BRMB, Orion Media, and Bauer Radio. One of his most famous interviews was with Kitty Hart Moxon, a Holocaust and Auschwitz survivor, which lasted almost 7 hours instead of the intended 90 minutes. Instead of cutting the interview short, Tim kept going and received positive feedback from the audience for his work. Tim's flirtatious nature has landed him in trouble a couple of times, especially when his wife sold his $25,000 Lotus Esprit on eBay for a mere £50, after he jokingly told Jody Marsh live on air that he'd leave his family, including his 2 children, for her. The car, which was snapped up just 5 minutes after being placed on the auction site, came with the description, "I need to get rid of this car in the next 2 to 3 hours before my husband gets home to find it gone and all his belongings in the street." Since then, Tim has unsurprisingly refrained from joking with female colleagues. Some TV shows Tim has worked for, apart from Car S.O.S, include Street Genius, formerly named None of the Above. The scenic show, which airs in 140 countries and is filmed in the U.S., sees Tim asking viewers multiple-choice questions related to experiments that he conducts on the street. If the question is answered correctly, Tim will then explain the ins and outs of the experiment. True Tube is also one of Tim's original concepts, which he concocted with the production company Nerd TV. The show originally aired on Sky One until National Geographic purchased it in 2014. Tim and his co-host, Buddy Monroe, recreate viral YouTube stunts and explain the engineering involved, making the show wildly popular amongst a younger audience. Other hosting and presenting gigs include a short stint on Fifth Gear and a body positivity Channel 4 program named Extreme Male Beauty. The second show discusses the unspoken beauty standards that negatively impact men but are rarely spoken about, such as extreme exercise routines, plastic surgery, and impossible diets. Tim also presented Britain's Top 5, an engineering show featuring mankind's most impressive mechanical achievements, and a miniseries entitled Experimental. Regardless of controversial incidents, Tim is still clearly in great demand. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.